This is the C-Section Experience podcast, where we support you in preparing for and processing your C-section journey through education, validation, and storytelling. We're here to reduce anxiety, amplify your voice, and help you feel truly seen. I'm Dr. Jen, an obstetric anesthesiologist.
And I'm Bethany, a nurse and a birth educator. As friends and fellow C-section mamas, we're on a mission to empower you. Through personal stories and expert guests, we'll laugh, we'll cry, feel all the feels, so you can approach your birth with confidence. Are you ready? Hi, Jen.
Hi, B.
How are you today?
Great.
I'm excited for today's episode. But before we get into it, I have to tell you a story. Sawyer has been waiting for these best friend necklaces to arrive that she wanted to give, obviously, her other half to Pippa. And so I bring the Amazon bag up. We're sitting in her room. Of course, she opens it, and they sent pink kitty cat friendship necklaces instead of pink foxes.
Oh,
you know how they like split apart?
Uh-huh.
And she was like,
This
well,
is not going to do.
We hate pink.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, does she like pink?
No, she's like, Pippa and I hate
Pippa
pink.
hates pink as well.
We like kitties, but we hate pink. And I was like, all right, we'll send them back. She's like, no, I actually have a better idea. I was like, oh, what is that? She's like, I feel like there's somebody in our house who doesn't get as much attention as they deserve, who does so much for our family and should be shown a little bit more love. And naturally, I'm thinking, this girl is about to give me her other half of her best friend necklace. No. Fitz walks in.
The dog?
The dog got the other half of the friendship necklace. We put the charm on his collar.
Oh.
And I just thought, isn't that how parenting goes?
Yeah.
Here you think you're having this like cutesy moment.
She's about to recognize all the work you do for the
Everything.
family.
And I was thinking, I have done a lot this week. I am patting myself on the back.
Just about to shed a tear.
Just like that, the balloon burst. And I'm like, yep, no problem. I'll be the one to undo the necklace, put it on his collar. Sure, Fitz, the dog who keeps me up all night.
And
he gets the other half.
And I love that
best
it's like
friend.
a cat. Too.
I'm going to have to take a picture and send it to you. It's actually ridiculous. But I felt like it paralleled so well into our topic today, which is Dad Diaries. Because, I don't think the dads get the attention that they deserve in all of this. It is their experience as well. And especially in a C-section, right? They are completely a witness to everything. And how scary that must feel in their position. And nobody really talks to the dad that much. Do you agree with that?
I agree. And no one really talks about this at all. And I think with any kind of birth, but in particular with a C-section for sure. And what must that feel like to have your wife, your baby sort of like fully in the hands of somebody else?
Your whole world, you're just watching something unfold. And how are you even like playing a part in it? So I came up with 10 questions that I asked some dads.
Whose wives have
C-sections. One being your husband. Who
Can't wait.
I'm going to give a little shout out to Paul. He was the first one to send the questions back to me. Now, granted, he went with one sentences.
Too much.
I was like, well, Paul, I was expecting like a little bit more in depth, but I'll take it.
It's okay. At least he participated.
Okay. He participated.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It counts.
I appreciated it very much. Okay, so Paul obviously is your husband, and he was present for C-section was the first birth, VBAC for the second. The other dad that I asked, they just most recently had a baby 2 weeks ago, and this was his third birth, or not his third birth, his wife's third birth. First was vaginal, the second two were C-section. So I loved his answers because I feel like he was super fresh, like the most like accurate, like kind of how he was feeling in that moment. And of course, my husband didn't send them back to me.
Oh no!
But whatever. We're just gonna go with the answers
he
that we got.
listens to the show.
He
so
does.
Matt,
yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. This morning, even I was like, "Are you gonna get those answers to me?" He's like, "Yeah, maybe around like noon." I was like, "Well, that's not gonna work.
late.
So don't worry."
So let's get into it. Let's see what they said.
Okay. So first, I love this dad quote. I'm a new dad. It's actually terrifying. I am not even remotely qualified for this. Apparently, they'll let anyone do it. There's not even a test or anything. The whole thing is completely insane. Please help me. So we're here to help you, dads. We're here to help you with the advice that other dads gave.
It's kind of validating. Like the dads
Yes.
also feel like that I
Deer
could
in
have maybe
headlights.
written that,
Yeah.
about being a mom.
Yeah, totally. So the first question was, what was the most challenging part of witnessing your partner during the C-section? And the first response was, the hardest part was actually the time apart, as Sarah was prepped and began surgery alone, knowing that she'd be scared and alone at that time. Once I was able to be in the room and comfort her, I think we both felt much better. Definitely not fun coming in and seeing her upset in those first few moments as well. I was actually really thinking about that because I know that I was crying before Matt walked into the room, and how that must have felt for him walking into that room, not even knowing what he was walking into, but instantly seeing me upset.
And wondering, is she okay?
Yeah.
What kind of emotions are we feeling? Yeah.
Totally. And I think he just sat down where they told him to sit. He was just like a robot. Like, you just tell me where to go and I'll sit there. And I remember I almost had to coach him, like, tell me everything is okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Mean once he got into the room?
Once he got into the room.
Yeah, when you're separated, and I know sometimes it's for not very long if the spinal takes 1 second, and sometimes there are things like we're getting the music set up, or just something like, I had to switch out the blood pressure cuff. Something is extending the amount of time. And for me, as the anesthesiologist, or anyone who's in the room taking care of the patient before the surgery starts, we kind of have to remember, someone go tell the dad that everything is completely fine. It's just taking longer because of something silly that has nothing to do with the health of your wife or anything like that.
Exactly. But imagine what they're thinking just in that waiting. 5 minutes doesn't feel like 5 minutes. 5 minutes probably feels like an hour.
And so if it's 15, forget it.
Totally. So your husband's response was, seeing her on that table, so vulnerable, was brutal. I just wanted to trade places with her.
Oh.
And this is my favorite part about this response. So then a couple hours later, he sends you an email back that says, yo, thought more on this, LOL. The biggest thing with Jen on this is point 1. Going into the OR was insane for me, especially when they told me I had to scrub up. I was freaking out. But what was crazy is Jen was pretty chill. She did have to try, he put abrasion, but it was aversion.
Yeah.
Again, so was definitely ready to get the baby out. She knew everyone in the OR, so it seemed pretty relaxed as she was having conversations with her colleagues. She kept me calm, LOL. She was a trooper and was putting on a very brave face.
Yeah, he was definitely more nervous than I was, but so we talked about this, and I think that's why he sent you another email.
Uh-huh.
I don't think because I was more chill than him, I feel like he didn't recognize that I was nervous. But I don't think I was. I think most people were probably more nervous than I was. But I just I've talked about this before. But it was just that I didn't expect the amount of nervous that I was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It was more. I was surprised by my own. This is insane. This is. Where am I? What is going on? I can't believe this is actually happening. And I do think I cope a little bit by acting kind of joking and kind of, I'm just not one to show it unless it's really bad.
Right.
And so, yeah, I remember his face just doesn't know what to say, where to put his hands, what to do, he does this thing with his leg where he taps it, tap, 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 tap.
There's a lot of tapping going on.
Yeah.
So I have a dad tip. I think when you first walk into that OR, one of the best things you can do is to reconnect with your wife or your partner and hold their hand. Have that physical touch together because you're each comforting each other in that moment. It's so simple. And I think that same, like Matt was I didn't know where to put my hands. I didn't know where I was allowed to put my hands. I think that they are so concerned about doing something wrong and disrupting the surgery. And so I think having that initial connection for you dads, walk in and just hold your significant other's hand.
And know that you can. So I do make a point because I do always the warm blanket over the arms thing. So their hands are covered. And when the dad comes in, I say, this is where you're going to sit. And then I flip the blanket off of the hand and I say, hold her hand if you want to. I feel kind of weird because well, sometimes I don't know the relationship between the people,
True.
But I feel like you have to know that is okay. Here's her hand, should you want to,
Yes. Yeah.
Like, no pressure. I mean, but for sure, that's an easy thing to do. And and you know where to put your hands instead of just kind of awkwardly.
Exactly.
And make sure you bring your phone in.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So you can take a lot of pictures. Okay, so the next one is, did anyone come and talk to you while you were waiting to enter the OR while your partner was being prepped for surgery? First answer, nope. They just picked me up. Second answer, a nurse checked in, but honestly, I was a wreck. I just wanted to be by her side. I thought that was something I'd always been really curious about. Like, does anyone go and have any bit of a chit chat? No, they're like, and I know I've said this before, but Matt was handed the downing gear and he started taking off his street clothes because nobody prepped him to say, like, it's okay to keep your
Did
clothes.
Did he go in the bathroom?
on.
I'm still confused about this story.
I don't even know. He just said he was in a waiting area. No.
Or like in the triage room, maybe?
I think he was still in the triage room. And the nurse, nobody directed him. So he just thought he was supposed to
he was probably behind a curtain. So it felt like a changing area.
For sure.
Whereas if it was obviously public space, you would know that the clothes
You're not
underneath.
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought it's like a funny story because he was just he knew I wanted him to have skin to skin with the baby as soon as possible. So in his head, he was like, all right, I'll just put this on. Like, and she just put a gown on. I mean, think about that. I stripped down and just put a gown on.
Right.
Like,
no, yeah.
I guess maybe in his head, he was thinking the exact same thing.
You're actually not the patient.
Right.
Some places they give the dad scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, like, I guess you would be literally changing into scrubs. But if it's just like a zip up coverall, that's meant to go over the clothes.
Wait, and also going back to Paul's first answer that he had to scrub up. Is that typical?
I think what he means is just putting the zip thing on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
I was picturing Paul over the sink with a scrub brush in between his fingers. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What did you think you were going to be doing in the surgery?
He has no idea.
Okay.
The fact that he had to put on any kind of hospital garb to him is like scrubbing in for surgery.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
And the hat, because you also have to wear the hat. You have to cover your hair.
Right.
And put a mask on.
Right.
And cover your clothes. And that's it. But no, you don't have to scrub in and
okay.
like put on sterile gloves.
Okay. I needed clarity on that one. Okay. So third question. Did you feel prepared for the recovery aspect? What role you would need to take on to care for the baby while still in the hospital? I think this is 100% something nobody talks to dads about. And honestly, it's a disservice to both mom and dad because then you're both entering into this recovery phase completely unprepared for how you need them to stand up for you. And I mean, automatically, if someone's not doing what you need them to do for you, you're going to feel frustrated with that individual. So we're going to help dads out with this one.
What do you mean? So are you referring to advocating for mom, or are you referring to the fact that dads need to take a more active role usually with caring for the baby because mom is also
okay, so let me clarify that. Well, both, but helping out with the baby more. I don't think that they realize the active role that they're going to need to take on with the baby. I mean, I know Matt didn't know that. He was like, well, I just thought you were going to be like feeding and like changing the baby and doing all those things. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. But like, because I am unable to have the same mobility that I had before, even with a belly, I was moving better than right after a C-section.
Right.
They're still going to need to step up and lift that baby maybe out of the bassinet and hand the baby to you when you want to breastfeed. Like, he just didn't realize how hands-on he was going to be. I think he thought he was just like there to...
You have physical limitations. Correct.
Yeah. So I thought the first answer was great. Since it was Sarah's second C-section, I felt pretty prepared. Great. He learned a lot the first time. Anything that involved getting up was my purvey. So all diaper changes and putting down for naps, picking up for Sarah to feed, etc. He recognized like that was going to be his role. But first time around, he had no idea. And I think...
Because it was so different.
Correct.
She probably took on more of that because she could.
Yeah.
the first time.
Yes. And second answer, not at all. I thought I'd just hold the baby and help a little. Instead, I had to be everywhere, lifting, helping, running point, while she was just trying to survive those first few days. I think he's probably meaning more about when you got home rather than in the hospital, or what do you think?
I think he means
In the hospital?
all of the above.
Okay.
Like he really did, because my struggles really started in the hospital. When I tell that story about how I had to get IV pain medication one time, which is not that big of a deal, but to me it was a moment where I was like not okay. And that was like the second day, you know, first day being the day that I actually had the baby. And so he knew that this was real. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't, I guess, how it can be for many people, where people are up and moving and they're not like in bed crying and like screaming in pain. So I think that kind of kicked off that he knew he had to take on an active role. And I think he did, but maybe he wasn't prepared for that.
No.
Yeah.
But also how overwhelming. It's like, okay, now you see your wife in pain, and now you have this newborn baby that you're also knowing you need to take care of. And how that must feel like you're being pulled in different directions. And I think a lot of thing that men often do is they internalize and they don't vocalize it. I'm sure they're just like packing in all of this overwhelming sensations that they're feeling. And nobody comes in and is like, how are you doing today? And I mean, I know we're here to advocate for moms 100%. But I do think that if we're not helping the dads feel prepared and working through this and voicing it, then it's going to spill over to the mom eventually.
Well, it's just like when mom's taking care of a baby, the mom needs to take care of herself in order to take care of the baby. And it's kind of the same thing. If dad is taking care of baby and taking care of mom, someone needs to check in on him too.
Totally.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay, fourth question. Did you have to advocate for her needs with the medical staff if she was struggling physically or mentally? And did you feel heard? First answer, not this time around. Everything was pretty straightforward. And when Sarah needed anything, the nurses were receptive to her. With previous pregnancies, I've stepped in sparingly when needed, but luckily it wasn't necessary this time. I do feel like there's a tendency to ignore or be met with some eye rolling when speaking up on behalf of the mom, and they always want to hear it from the patient, but that's not always possible in the moment, so that can be frustrating. Now, I love that answer.
That was a great answer.
I know, right? Because it is true. The nurses, the doctors, they're going to ask the patient, what's your pain level? Even when you're crying. So when the dad does say something, like when you were having your really intense pain, if Paul had spoken up and been like, no, I know my wife. I know she's struggling so badly right now. She's in really intense pain.
Yeah, I think saying it like that is actually the most helpful way, because it is difficult when sometimes you don't know. Sometimes I think dads how do I say this? Sometimes they're trying to steer a choice, maybe that we don't know, is the mom comfortable with this choice or not?
True.
I'm thinking of the bad side of this. And sometimes like they're just trying to help so badly, but they are not taking in the information and just sort of, I don't know, like asking so many questions, and it's a barrier to the conversation. Like I'm thinking of like the times, I mean, most of the times it's amazing. And anytime a dad would say something like that, like, I know my wife. And just like real quick, you know, it's like, I have inside information for you that might help you in how you're taking care of my wife. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's the dad tip right there. It's how you communicate to
really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really matters. And like you can look at your wife and see how is she liking this? You know, because sometimes I'm thinking right now with like epidural placements, like different scenario, but just thinking about the dynamics of the relationship where is she wanting you to be stepping in or not? And I think when it's really good, you can kind of look at each other and you're just sort of working together to the same goal, I guess.
Yeah. Second answer was, yes, she was in real pain and barely hanging on. Speaking up wasn't easy, but I knew I had to make sure she was heard. That's Paul's
I can't remember if he did or not. I was trying. I think I'm.
Well, in his recollection, he clearly does. Like he stood up. But I think the point of this question. I think the point of this question is, as a dad, you are allowed to advocate for your wife and for your baby, and you should feel that you have a voice in that room to have conversation. But tone of voice is so huge. I spent a lot of time in my life telling Matt, it's the tone of your voice. It's not the words, it's the tone and how you're coming across. And having a mutually respectful conversation when it's sometimes really hard to do when you're witnessing your wife in a lot of pain. You want to fix what's going on very quickly. That is probably a really hard road to navigate when you're sitting back taking this all in as the dad.
Yeah. And I think a piece of advice I would give too is it's okay to say, I am worried because, or I am worried about this. And so it can be very clear what your concern is. Like, I am concerned that she is never crying like this. Like, she's not, this is not the norm for her. I am worried that this medication might be harmful to her in some way. So can you tell me more about it? It's more helpful to hear that genuine, like, this is why I'm worried, or I am worried about this. Like, this is what I need more information about. And how can you help us? You know, like bringing that feeling into it. That is super helpful to understand, I guess, where things are coming from so that you can best communicate what the actual issue is so that they can help you the best.
Yeah. I would totally agree with that. Okay, 5th question. Did you have to manage visitors so she did not feel overwhelmed? Did you feel overwhelmed with visitors? Which I really always wondered that, like, do dads feel overwhelmed with visitors?
Well, this is probably a huge personality dependent thing.
100%.
Yeah.
So first answer, we just followed a full, I love this answer so much, you know this. We just followed a full no visitor rule and took the time to recover and enjoy the quiet. We had our first during COVID, so we just kept with doing no visitors and has always felt like a great idea to us. Plenty of time to see everyone at home. I loved his answer so much because it's so true. There is a very short period of time that you're going to have this quiet, calm environment to actually get to have conversations, to get to know this baby on such an intimate level. Because as soon as you leave the hospital, of course, people are going to go and want to visit you once you're home and congratulate you. But I just think that sentence, plenty of time to see everyone at home, is so important to really think about.
Yeah, I think it's something I would do differently for sure.
Yes.
I didn't have a choice with my COVID baby, but
Right. But with Pippa, okay, so this is Paul's answer.
Paul's always like, he's the more the merrier. We know this.
But her dad was there, which was good, but it added weight too. I was trying to protect her from being overwhelmed while not stepping on toes. Just your dad was there?
What is he talking about?
Okay, I'm pretty
so
certain.
So was his dad, his mom, my mom, his sister, his brother, my friends from college. Like, what?
I know. But I think maybe, and maybe I'm reading into this too much, maybe it was the presence of your dad being your protector, right? You are his baby.
Yeah.
And maybe that felt more overwhelming for Paul to feel like, now I have a baby. I know what I am stepping into this role of what it feels like to protect something that I created, just as your dad was there stepping in to protect someone he created, AKA you, Dr. Jen.
Yes. That's definitely the psychology behind that answer because it otherwise doesn't make sense. Yeah, it probably was because certainly my dad had that feeling of like his baby just had surgery.
Of course.
His baby's in the hospital, hospitalized with IVs hooked up to her. Like that for him. And I feel like I probably, who knows, there's so much going on, but it's something that I guess Paul obviously picked up on.
Right. It is something that has stayed with him, which is also why I love these questions, because here's a dad who's 2 weeks out, and here's Paul who's, like Pippa's 7 years out from this experience, and how it stays with them. And this is why it is important for them to be able to get this out and to verbalize their feelings around it, because clearly it has stayed with him.
Yeah.
So I gave Paul a little minute therapy session.
It's your birth
You're
story
welcome.
Too. Yeah.
Okay. Question 6. How did you feel on the day of discharge? Excited, far less nervous than previous go-arounds, always antsy to get discharged as it takes forever. Good point there. We all know that discharge doesn't just happen in an hour. It's a couple hours. Also, I don't know if Paul had to do this, but Matt had to go to a class before leaving, a baby safety class.
Didn't we all have to do that?
only one parent had to go.
Oh.
So Matt went to that, which I feel like he went to that class and he came back. I'll talk about our first Souther. So that was 9 years ago. And he came back from that class. It was in person. It has shifted now. It's a video now. But he was like, oh my God, I don't think we could take this baby home because of course they talk about
Shaking babies,
all the
right?
really scary things that could happen to your baby. And then they're like, okay, now you ready to go home?
Yeah.
You know,
Good luck.
like,
Don't do that.
what? Like that felt super overwhelming. So actually, I know even though he didn't answer my questions, I'll talk to him about that later. I know that was super overwhelming for him because he had so many questions after taking that like mini crash course of like things to keep your baby safe. He's like, I don't.
That I'm remembering that. I feel like there's probably different ways at different places, but I'm maybe remembering a video at some point too. And it is sometimes you feel really confident and then you watch something like that and it's so good that it makes sense that people, you know, get some information if you don't have it. But yeah, then you're like, oh no. And you get a little worried. Like, I hope I am doing everything right. I thought that I was.
Totally. Another thing, a little dad tip is, so every baby has to leave in a car seat. And if you're a C-section mom, putting that baby in the car seat or bending over or doing anything is obviously going to be incredibly challenging. And that's a role that the dad should take on. But know how to open and close that car seat. Those clicks can feel a little tight when you have a brand new car seat. So dad tip, learn how to
practice
snap that
well
car
ahead of
seat
time.
exactly correctly, because in that moment when you're putting a 7 to 10 pound baby in it, it feels very overwhelming. Another tip is to come with, I mean, I know like my first go around, I was like, I'm gonna have this like adorable outfit to put him in. And I didn't know the gender, so I obviously had a boy and a girl. But don't get something with legs and ideally a zipper, so it makes it easier if you want to transition your baby into their clothes that they're going to be leaving the hospital with, so that when you buckle the baby in, you don't have to worry about like a gown or a dress if you have a little girl and you're trying to like snap everything together. Keep it as
Onesie.
Simple as possible. A onesie with a zipper.
Yeah,
will be your
that's
best
true.
friend.
No dresses.
No dresses, no snaps, no little, those things are also cute, but you're already nervous. Take something off your plate. And zippers are much simpler. Paul's response, and I love this one. Walking home through NYC with her dad. Here's your dad again. And the baby was terrifying. Every step felt shaky, like the world was way too big and dangerous all of a sudden. First of all, have you seen Pets? The movie. Yeah. Or Pets 2, when the dog's like freaking out every time. For some reason, Paul became that little scared dog that's like freaking out that something's going to go wrong, that the world's just too big.
I'm having a flashback. Do you know how, I haven't used a stroller in so long, but like with a stroller, you're supposed to see the baby. Mm-hmm. And we realized when he got home that he like clicked it in. So he wasn't seeing the baby. And so I think my dad was like walking in front to keep an eye on the baby. And I remember getting home and being like, I don't even know how you like messed this up, but this is not correct. Like you're supposed to, like, he's like, no wonder. Like, I don't know how anyone could just like push your baby without seeing, like a literal newborn infant.
Yes.
Without seeing it. I'm like, no, you're supposed to be able to see it. Like you can flip it around.
I know, but it brings up such a good point. Like, not every dad knows how to put
or just the fact that you should, because if you think about a baby stroller, you're like, oh, like a doll stroller, it faces out, but like no, you face it in.
It faces in, yes. So if you're planning on walking home from the hospital, make sure you know how to click that car seat into the stroller base correctly, and you have the baby facing you so you can see the baby. And same for the car. Once you put that baby into the car, make sure you know how to buckle it in properly. Like just do a couple
opposite for
dry
a car.
runs.
The baby will be facing away from you.
Exactly.
For a car.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why a lot of times then somebody is sitting in the back seat with the baby to keep an eye on the baby. But I thought that was such a cute response because I do think it's like all of a sudden the world does seem so different. And the difference between, we have 9 to 10 months to kind of wrap our heads around becoming a mother. And they don't have that same, they're just watching our bodies change, but they chemically, they like hormonally, they're just not as in tune, I think, as we are by nature made to be when we have this baby. And
Literally inside our bodies, yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden it is like one day, like they just become a dad out of nowhere. And yes, we become a mom, but at least we've had some prep. We have felt that baby inside of us kicking and moving. And it's this connection that they don't get an opportunity to feel before that baby comes out. I'm really having dad's backs today.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair.
No, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Okay, question 8. What aspect of her recovery surprised you the most, and what would you tell another dad to have at home to help her recover? Answer 1. I was surprised with how quickly she recovered relative to her first C-section. I think the first C-section for every mom is wildly intense to recover from at home because it's all new. This could be because her body has adapted or just our perception of time is distorted since we're so busy with the other kids now. But it definitely felt like a quicker road. I will speak for myself. I definitely think that my second and my third C-sections
Were better.
were better. The first one was terrible. It just was like, I just didn't know. I didn't know how the constipation was going to come in, how every little movement...
I think if
was
you're
a lot.
if you're learning from your prior experiences, which some people make more of an effort to do that than others, it can really help your experience going
Yes.
forward. But I have seen people with different ones. Like my second one was the worst, whatever. But certainly when you're learning how to manage things, and that could be nothing but helpful, right?
For sure. And Paul's response, I was shocked by how hard it hit her. She was wrecked for days and breastfeeding was a battle. I didn't realize how much she'd suffer after the surgery.
Yeah, I was not okay.
I know.
As I've said.
But let me just say, too, how important it is that he, like, still remembers how big of a battle it was for you. And that, was there one thing that he
It was
did
shocking.
for you that you
he
felt was
did?
helpful?
I think helping me get out of bed
Mm-hmm.
was something that I just required. And that was...
Wait, but I got to
great.
pause. I think that's a tip. I think right there, you should be helped out of bed. Those first couple days while you are home, you should always be helped out of bed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just taking, the baby stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like lifting the baby, moving the baby, getting the baby, bringing the baby to me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it just wasn't an option. But I guess, yeah, if I didn't have him there, though, or somebody there,
Right.
it's just very hard to imagine.
I think it's a lesson for ourselves too, like giving over control to your spouse. Being like, I can't do everything. You have to be clear with what you need them to do for you sometimes as well.
Yeah. I remember he was the burper a lot of times.
Okay.
So if I was feeding and like struggling to feed.
Yeah, but that's
And then
that's
he
an
would-
important role that he took on, and that probably made him feel useful in your breastfeeding
Yeah,
journey
just because
and the
you're breastfeeding,
struggles.
they can still help with stuff.
Of course.
Like, for example, like burping,
Exactly.
changing the diaper after,
Totally.
which is not exactly feeding, and then obviously if there's any bottles or anything else involved,
Cleaning the breast pump,
yeah.
cleaning the bottles, the nipples, all those things are wildly
gosh,
helpful
so
that a partner can do for
Yeah.
you. Okay, question 9. The best dad question to ask yourself. What can I take off her plate so she can focus on healing and bonding with the baby? Okay. The biggest thing was getting our 2 other kids, 2.5 and 5 years old, up and out of the house to leave the house way calmer and quieter. I love that answer. And to wear the big kids out, as sweet as they are. The big kids, they huddled around the mom and the baby. That's less ideal. I remember that so much. I remember feeling like I was trying to feed and my other ones would be like touching me and wanting to be on my lap too, and how overwhelming that felt to have them also touching me and their like little faces so close to me. And I was like, and I didn't want to say like, go away, but inside I was like freaking out. I was like, you got to get these other 2 away from me so I can actually stay focused on what I'm doing and not have that, I've talked about this, like that overtouch factor.
Yeah.
Like it was just like one too many touches. As cute as it was to have that little hand on my leg, it was like, please take your hand off my leg. I'm gonna freak out right now. Do you remember that?
Well, my C-section was my first.
No, I know, but I meant like when you got home with Hank, did you feel like Pippa was like hovering around you?
No, but I had so much help,
Okay.
so it's not fair.
We're not asking you that
Yeah,
question
don't ask
then.
me.
Okay. Paul's response was, I took on food and the little stuff at home so she could just focus on surviving and being with the baby. That one shift mattered. I think that's a big one. The food element, I'm going to also throw in hydration with that one, bringing you water. That's a great thing for a dad to take on. Snacks,
water.
all the things.
What's for dinner question.
Right. Have
Don't
that in your
ask
head
me.
solved. Yeah, exactly. But really thinking about that is eating and drinking is a huge part of your recovery as well. So being mindful, we've talked a lot about like nutrition, having a nutritious meal, having a meal that's low in sodium, having juices at home, or always putting water by the side of bed or wherever you're feeding, whether it's bottle or breastfeeding, you should always have a water next to you. Don't you remember that sensation feeling so thirsty all the time?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't inhale water fast enough.
And you know what? I'm just thinking because I'm trying to consider the dad. He should also like think about what he's eating, and because
Totally.
you're going to be sleep deprived no matter what if you're helping out at night, and it's just there's a lot going on. Even though you didn't physically, obviously, have a baby, but you're exhausted in many ways as well. And so I think maintaining your own health in that way, your own mental health and your own physical health, just to be able to keep up in this very, very busy season, is not a bad idea, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Do you have a piece of advice to pass along to another dad? Just be ready to fetch a lot of items for your wife at every given moment. Ha ha. And if you sigh, she will hear it. I love that he put that in there. And if you have other kids at home, stretch out that hospital stay and enjoy the peace of quiet. Now, he said that twice, which I think it's important to highlight that because honestly, leaving the hospital and getting home feels so good. We all know that. But you don't have nurses at home anymore. You don't have doctors. You don't have that hospital bed. You don't have all those things, those resources that actually do help you a lot while you're there. And the quiet, the calm aspect of it, if you do have other kids at home, you really should
Try
enjoy
to
that
appreciate the benefits of being there while you're there.
Yes, yeah. Like, you're going to get interrupted. Things, okay, for sure. But it's different being interrupted by a nurse than being interrupted by little toddlers every 3 seconds who have things that they want from you, all those things. Paul's answer, ask questions, keep moving, and be ready to step up more than you think you will. It's harder, scarier, and more beautiful than you can picture. I love that he said ask questions. I do think that's really important.
That's a really good point. Yep.
There are no stupid questions. Before discharge, if you have any concerns as a dad, you should ask those questions. And you know what? Maybe even write them down. Maybe write down what those answers were. And it truly is, it is just as much important for a dad to feel confident leaving the hospital as it is for mom.
And even on a basic level, I was thinking, as a woman, we often have asked our friends about things ahead of time. I don't know how often dads are like, hey, how,
I don't.
Let's talk about what it's like to have a newborn. Let's talk about what it's like to see your wife go through surgery or go through birth or go through all of these things. So I wonder how much preparation they have to that extent too. It's just get involved, ask the questions, because there are going to be a lot of things that you don't understand, and that's okay.
Yes. And especially with the medication, if you have any questions about the medication, you should definitely be asking those things and writing it down, because even though you get the discharge paperwork that will say everything, but I still think it's good to hear it rather than just read it, so that as you're saying it and you're asking a question, maybe another question pops up like, but would it be okay if she had this with this? Ask those questions.
And as the dad, we assume that maybe you're the one that's a little crisper,
Yes.
a little sharper.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to take on that role of being the one that is listening, taking note. And so when later mom says, what did they say? Or what is going on? You got to use as much of your combined brain power to sort through everything, I guess.
Yeah, it takes you to tango, takes you to remember all the discharge information for sure. Okay, wait, I have to read this one because this dad really just nailed it on so many places that I just felt it deserved its own read through. Bring waterproof, easy-on shoes and swim trunks so you can help her in the shower. Who is this dad? Who is he? The easy-on shoes are also good for walking around in the hospital and when you're getting in and out of that sofa or the recliner or whatever the device is that the dad is sleeping on.
Situation, yeah.
Yeah, that you can get in and out. I thought that one was so wise. Bring snacks for you and your wife. Also, he said, I don't think that you should be afraid to tell some of the nurses or other staff coming in that they need to come back.
Oh,
that if you are in the middle of, like he said, they were just about to fall asleep and someone knocked on the door and it happened to be a photographer. And he was like, not the time. Like, we literally just closed our eyes. I think that that's something that I know I wasn't the one who was going to tell a nurse to come back just because I was like, oh, well, they're obviously here for a reason. I don't want to like mess up their routine of how they're seeing each patient. But I think it is really important that a dad feels confident to be able to say, this is not the right time. Can you please come back?
Well, let me tell you also from the opposite perspective of me walking into a room.
Okay, let's go.
I do look to the dad. So this is good for the dad, a role to take on. Sometimes I will walk into a room and I see that mom's sleeping. And sometimes the dad will open the eye first and I'll kind of like mouth, like, everything okay or whatever. And then he kind of gives me a thumbs up and then I walk out of the room. That is a role that if dad seems to be awake and mom isn't, like, sometimes we'll do a little like sign language situation and then I come back. So it doesn't even have to be like an aggressive thing. Sometimes it's just like helping out, because maybe other times I walk in and it's like, oh, you're here finally.
Right.
And then, hey, to his wife, she's here to address whatever concern you've been worried about, like whatever it is. Right. So definitely embrace that role of letting us know what's going on if we were trying not to bother mom.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Another one that, going back to being prepared if you have a scheduled C-section, this is a dad who said he ended up fainting because he didn't eat or drink anything before the surgery.
Happens.
And
it happens.
I have to say, I wanted to kill Matt when he was eating his bacon, egg, and cheese in front of me at
Don't
7
do
a.m.
it in front. Just go hide in the bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you should not. You should be intaking fluids and food because, again,
You're going to be in an operating room.
You're going to be in an operating room.
Yes.
You're also going to be then in a recovery room. And you may not be getting food for a little while as well. So it's not selfish to eat or drink before a surgery, your wife's
absolutely,
surgery.
You should.
But you should not do it in
Don't
front
rub
of
it in her face.
Don't rub it in her face because she's really hungry. But I do think it is important that through that hospital stay as well, that you stay mindful on
and if you
adequate
have
nutrition.
I don't know, something in your bag, if you have the hospital bags that you can just grab if it's a situation where you need to take a bite.
I love the snack idea.
You're feeling like your glucose is getting low or whatever. You don't want to fall, because like they do. I'm telling you, dads pass out.
Which is why I thought this one was so important to bring up, because
times,
you're nervous too, right? You're like trying to get to the hospital on time.
Emotions are running high.
Exactly.
And if you're not eating, it's just going to contribute for sure.
Exactly. Okay, I think I just actually went through all of those.
Okay.
Now we're gonna. Do you want to say anything else?
No, this is your show today.
Oh, okay. You're allowed to talk too, Jen.
I did talk.
Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I love this little quote that the comedian Ray Romano said, that having children is like living in a frat house. Nobody sleeps, everything's broken, and there's a lot of throwing up. And I just like,
especially this week.
Yeah, well, if you're entering into different seasons. But why I loved it is because he found the humor in it. And I think that in this role as the partner, the dad, that sometimes you need to be reminded as the patient or as the one who's just gone through all of this, that there's still humor. I know we've talked about laughing after you've had a C-section. May not feel so great, but it is good to have that energy of your partner, to be a little bit more lighthearted, to have some just humor can be calming, is my point. And that's why I thought that quote really...
And that just made me think of something else too.
Wait, well, excuse me.
Oh, did you already?
It's my show. I thought you were supposed to talk.
Is it okay?
Sure.
All right. Because I'm thinking about when you're in the hospital and if you have shows that you like to watch together, kind of like entertainment too. Mm-hmm. Maybe something you could do together, something that can lighten the mood or just bring some joy. I think that's not a bad idea, right? Like just be like thinking about what your individual wife, partner would appreciate and bring a little smile.
Yeah.
We can all use that.
I have a final last dad tip.
Okay.
So I'm sure every partner, husband, dad knows what their spouse's favorite food is. The second night when I was like really hungry, Matt ordered a bunch of Italian food. And it felt like such a gift that he gave me. It's like, he didn't ask me what I wanted. He just knew the order to place. And that second night in the hospital, having a super yummy, home comforting type of meal, you will get a big round of applause if you order that and it just arrives and you think for her on what that first super yummy meal is going to be.
Yes, the thinking for you is huge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, amazing. That was fun.
Okay.
I love to hear from the dads.
Okay, yeah.
If we have any dads out there,
if you have some more tips, send them in. It's just like how like moms, we love passing along other tips to moms. Same for dads.
And
pass a tip along.
And just know that there are other dads out there who have questions, who had feelings and emotions about this crazy journey of parenthood.
Yes, totally.
Please reach out to us on Instagram, The C-Section Experience. Email us hi@csxpodcast.com. Watch us on YouTube, if you please.
Please do.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. We had so much fun recording this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. Please reach out to us and let us know what you think and what you would like to hear about in future episodes. We would love to hear from you. You can email us at thecsxpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at thecsxpodcast. We'll be back with more next week. Bye.